Yep, next up we have Jodi and also Brittany and Macy running our speaker panel.
All right.
Hi guys. So before we get going, I just wanted to quickly introduce Jodi, who's going to be speaking today and be joining our panel. So without further ado, take it away, Jodi.
All right. Can everybody see my screen okay?
I can't see your screen. Oh, now we can see.
All right, great. Well, I am the only thing standing between the questions and the panel, so I will make this as brief as I can. What a powerful presentation to follow from Andrew, and congratulations. This is my first time attending, and what an amazing event. So congratulations to all of you. I am Jodi Sawyer. I'm a board of director member of an organization called Sustainable Green Printing Partnership. In the next couple minutes, I'm going to introduce a little bit about it. I'm also a business unit manager for a company called FlexCon, and we make a lot of materials so that are used in label, packaging, graphics, and different types of applications. So we'll talk about that. All right. So what is SGP? It is an independent nonprofit accreditation for the printing industry that's focused on sustainability in print. The criteria for the certification was developed by printers, and it has been growing. It's a young organization, probably about 10 years, and it advocates for best practices, innovation, a lot of the things that we've been talking about at this conference, and it aligns the print industry, its customers, its suppliers in the pursuit of a more accountable, transparent, and validating supply chain. So it is that vision, and a lot of the words that we talked about in the last day have been collaboration and integration in the supply chain. That's really what this accreditation and certification is very much focused on. It is that common goal. It has been embraced. Right now it's North America, so it's certified printers are in Canada and the US, and it has really that power of engaging with the print supplier buyers through the printers to their suppliers of materials. And the different part is it's supported by resource partners that are major trade associations. So who is our community and what does it include? These are just snapshots of some of the organizations or areas that are part of our community. SGP has patrons. Our platinum patrons are 3N and Tessa Tape. We have gold level patrons. We have silver. And so those aren't highlighted here, but you can find them on our website. I chose to highlight out certified printers. We have 58 certified printers. We have 33 new applicants just this year. So we are going to be growing. That's our projection, to really, have a lot more certified printers in the next 5 years. The ones in Canada, we have our brand in store, Holland and Crosby, which is actually Transcontinental called now, and Auto Trim Design. Our brand leaders. So the brand leaders are interested in pulling through their supply chain. So their role in the organization with SGP is to be that voice, to have that leadership position where they're not only talking, as Andrew would say, had said previously, they are taking action, which means they're requiring SGP certification. They're specifying it. So you can take a look at some of the retailers and brand buyers that are listed here. Again, not inclusive. And then our resource partners are universities, associations. The Great Lakes Association has specified, which is a state organization, has specified SGP. Someone previously had mentioned Print Industries of America, which really has folded into Printing United Alliance, the SGIA, the Flexo Technical Partnership, tag and label manufacturer members. So these are trade associations that the printers belong to. And these are the partners that said to, that started this and said, we need an organization that's focused on print and sustainability in the print marketplace. I thought it was important to highlight, since some of our speaker yesterday was from Walmart, and these companies are brand leaders, but they're also walking the walk. They have certified print facilities that are in-house. So REI is obviously very focused on outdoor and the value of outdoor. Shutterfly as well, a brand name you may know. They have, and Walmart Print Solutions facility in Arkansas is an SGP certified facility. So walking the walk and being, aligned with what they're not only talking about, but what they're doing in their own in-house facilities. So what does SGP have in elements? It's 3 elements specifically: sustainability management system. The presentation previously by Hemlock, clearly it's a comprehensive management system that goes all the way through the organization. The certification, and I'm going through it quickly, is best practices as well. Continuous improvement projects every year, an annual continuous improvement project. And then the impact tracker, I'll talk a little bit about, that was developed specifically for SGP as a way to aggregate the data, not only for the benefit of the printers themselves to guide them through the process, but also to aggregate the impact that SGP is making. And beyond that, really to help visualize and engage with their clients, both their customers internally and externally, about what they're doing. So just to take a quick SGP certification look at it, it really is setting up that committee, doing internal communication, really monitoring and measuring those key performance indicators. It is a process that is directional and making that improvements year over year, and then benchmarking them. Setting up an internal auditing process that has to be done annually internally. And then upper management, we had a presentation yesterday from Simpson, and Carla talked about the fact that, from the top down, that's an important aspect to her, to have that ownership and that set the tone for the company. Hemlock mentioned that as well. So best practices are the next, capturing those metrics, looking what's known to the printing aspect in each printing, from offset to HP Indigo to latex. There's many different types of ways that labels, packages, and then outdoor graphics. If we look around us, there's many other things that are printed on a day-to-day basis. So these are just some of the ways and the metrics that are captured. They're focused on very specific initiatives, working through their supply chain to find ways to reduce, working with their clients, and they have to document all of the activities and how that's changed what they're doing in a material way. They do look at natural resources are required, and assessing all of those emissions, indoor air quality, making sure that they're lowering that or understanding where they're at and directionally improving it. And so, one of the things that's a little bit different with SGP is that it really is comprehensive, full facility. So it doesn't just look at the product that goes out the door. It doesn't just look at one aspect of their process. It looks at the entire process. It includes people and how they're treating labor and compliance. It also includes like small things like, what are you doing for your grounds? What are you doing for maintenance at your facility, and how are you handling transportation? So it's really a holistic look, and it's a little bit different in that way than other sustainability certifications. The third-party audit is the step once the sustainability management system has been implemented. And we are proud to say that our lead audit company is based out of Ontario, Naden Consulting. Wendy Naden is the owner, and she does a fabulous job with her team as our third-party audit. And that happens right now due to COVID. It's typically on site, but it is has gone to virtual audits, which have been working out fine for the most part, unless someone's new to the process. So externally audited every 2 years. And again, that's validation, right? Are we sustaining it? We're not just hitting it. And it's a certification that you don't have to revisit. You just, it has to be validated. It has to be transparent, it has to be documented. So it's not easy. So lastly, I'll just talk a little bit about the impact tracker. And this is an online dashboard that was developed specifically for the certified facilities, and it is all in one for the metrics. Very powerful, and it's something that our brand leaders told us as an organization was really important to have, to guide those printers who don't always have the largest staffs in all cases, from small to large printers. And so they use this tracker to progress through the process of certification and capture their data, and then aggregate it and engage with their audiences, as I mentioned. So here's a demo of example of how that display would look for the printers. And they basically have their analytics. And important to know, they're not going to improve in every aspect, but they are going to get an idea of how they're benchmarking against themselves year over year in certain metrics, how they're benchmarking against the industry. And, the importance of that is, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be areas that they could focus to improve on, and then being transparent about it and getting that, communication in terms of visualizing it. And here's a shot of our engagement, an example of how the printers use an engagement display. I've included a link to a YouTube video that shows how that works for the printers as well. And it really helps with what was talked about, is it's not just a program that, oh, we're starting a sustainability program at our company, and that's like 2 people and nobody else really knows about it in the company. It really is a way for certified printers to be very proud and integrate it through their organization. And then also to share it with clients under normal conditions when clients come in the building, and or if they have other ways to communicate with them. It's an engagement display to showcase how they're what they're doing and how they're making a difference, and translate it into real life examples. And so, some of the discussion yesterday particularly was about, does it make any sense to be a certified printer, to have a sustainability certification? Is it good business? And it absolutely is good business. There's no question about it. Sustainability in its definition means sustaining your company. So if you're not focused on reducing your impact on the environment for the reason that it's ethically the right thing to do, you should be doing it for good reasons that it's profitable. It doesn't mean all the materials that we sell out in the marketplace are necessarily lower priced, but it's more about the overall operating costs and reducing your impact, and hopefully aligns with your core values as a company. So these are just some of the benefits. It does put a printer at an advantage rather than a disadvantage. And I think it can be a daunting task to think about getting certified, but actually most of the printers that have been certified have said that it has improved their bottom line tremendously. So takeaways in the time, just think about sustainability certification for printers. And by the way, I didn't mention we are going to launch a supplier certification by the end of 2011. That is coming. But think about holistically about sustainability in print. It's people, process, and product. So it's how they make the product, it's how they treat their people, and it's the end product that they sell. And engage with us in the certified printers. If your future includes a profession in designing, label, and packaging, look to work with certified printers as a validation, to take that supply chain and extend it. And then collaborate with us and help us understand what you're doing and how you're achieving success, because I think it goes without saying that we have to do this all together, and we can do it. So again, we're on social media. If you'd like to learn more about us, please check us out online, or I will stay on for the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jodi. Thank you for the informative yet brief presentation. Greatly appreciated. So now I'd like to welcome back Amanda from Goldfin Consulting, Steph and Amanda from Hemlock, Andrew McDonald from PackNext, and of course, Jodi from SGP. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to you all for taking the time out of your day to participate in our panel today. And before we start, I just want to kind of go over the format just so we are all aware. Macy and myself will either be asking the entire panel a question, or we'll be asking a specific person. So now we only ask if you do want to contribute to another panelist question, that you just wait for them to finish, and then you're able to add your response then afterwards. And since we only have about 15 minutes left in our panel today, we're just asking for all panelists to be mindful of the length of your answers. So now, just to start off with the panel today, I just want to ask all of the panelists just a quick, brief question. Where are you all connecting from?
This is Andrew. I'm connecting from Toronto.
This is Amanda. I'm also connecting from Toronto. And how's my sound? Sorry, I'm using a new mic today. So
Oh, you sound great, Amanda.
okay, good.
That's great. Hi, I'm Jodi, connecting from Massachusetts.
I'm Steph, connecting from Surrey, BC.
I'm Amanda, connecting from Burnaby, BC.
Oh, perfect. And of course, Macy and I are connecting both here from Toronto, Mississauga. All right, so my first question here is going to be for Jodi. And the question is, how will COVID-19 affect sustainability initiatives?
So I think from a perspective of our certification organization, as I mentioned, we've seen a shift in companies like, if you think about trade show and events, that segment of the business that graphics are done. So when we had some companies called Shepherd and companies that do trade show, they had just gotten certified, 8 facilities, and they were planning to expand to other facilities. Their business kind of went out the window very shortly. So that's had a really negative impact on certain segments. In other areas, we've seen a great, in the label and packaging, we've seen an extreme, like a jump up in the applications and focus so many of the initiatives that have been talked about today. So COVID has had an effect on our printers in a different way. The other aspect was just in the, I said the certification process, it has gone to a virtual one, to a desktop instead of in person, which has actually worked out okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. So I'd like to open it up in case anybody would like to make a comment as well. And if not, we'll just move forward. Okay, Macy, take it away.
Well, we have a question for Amanda from Goldfin. This is from yesterday that we unfortunately didn't get to. So the question is, would it be safe to say that we might become too dependent on compostable materials, and then the composting system could become almost kind of like the current recycling system?
I mean, I don't think that composting will ever fully replace recycling, and I definitely don't think it should. I do think sometimes brands might consider it like a quick or easy replacement or fix for a packaging that they have that's a complex format that they can't design in a recyclable format. And I think there's I think there was some talk of brands like Starbucks going to more compostables. And yeah, I think it just depends on where you're at and what the infrastructure is that supports it. And yeah, I don't think it will ever, I guess short answer, I don't think it will ever replace, or that there's a fear of it kind of becoming like recycling. No.
100%. I think I had like a whole like project last semester on just like more sustainable alternatives for takeout containers. And a lot of things that I was reading, it was more that a lot of people think that they can switch to compostable containers. But then if we kind of think, oh, I can compost like how kind of we use recycling, then all those like compost systems are going to get all backed up because we kind of just put all of our trust into it, like how we put trust into recycling. Now it's kind of like,
yeah. Yeah, and to add on that, like composting is a very fine art. It's not just that things just break down on their own, right? So you have to have kind of the best scenario possible for it, whether you're using anaerobic or aerobic digestion. And if you have lots of kinds of like woody formats or like dry formats, it's gonna obviously be more challenging to balance that. So yeah, I think it depends, and I think there's a place for it, as I mentioned yesterday. But it's definitely something that shouldn't just be the answer to everyone's problems. So yeah.
amazing, thank you. All right, the next question would be.
Perfect. So this next question is directed towards Amanda and Steph from Hemlock. So it was great today to hear about your own sustainable initiatives implemented in Hemlock. And I guess the question here is, why do you think other companies don't have a zero waste culture embedded just yet?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at this one. So I think that a zero waste culture, kind of what Jody was talking about, is that it needs to be embedded throughout your whole organization, and have all departments fully engaged, and that can be a daunting task. So it really does take someone to take the lead in your organization, whether it be a department, a team of sustainability, or a sustainability, leader or lead in the organization, to get the process going and actually project manage it. So I think that's probably one of the barriers. And once there's actually a process in place, like a certification, a step-by-step process, that's when companies can actually have a framework to work with, where they can embed sustainability and zero waste into their culture.
That's awesome. So the next question is going to be for Andrew. So it's kind of a two-part question. Well, two different kind of questions that came in. So the first one is PAC planning to do a post-mortem of the explosion of packaging that has been used during the pandemic? So since about like last March.
Well, no, I would say that we, on a periodic basis, try to provide some comment on how COVID has impacted packaging sustainability. So we don't have anything planned in particular, but through our newsletter, in fact, which I do. So this month I'll connect to some good material on that very subject. And then, whether or not we do another webinar like we did last year devoted to that topic, I'm not sure right now, but it's certainly something on our minds and that we pay close attention to.
Mm-hmm. And then this is from Chris Fraser. So getting back to your point about Greta's point about Real Zero, what type of best practices do you see for future pandemics? So for takeout, home meal replacement food, and food delivery services.
Right. Well, I would, as I noted in the presentation, I would point to, at least at first, I would point to reuse models. Many of for example, the meal delivery companies have actually made solid efforts around recycling and recyclability and communicating with their customers. That's actually, I took a look at that recently, and it's not bad. But higher up the waste hierarchy is reuse. And I think there are, as I pointed out, there are emerging reuse models that offer, both from an environmental point of view and an economic point of view, models that can work. And so, in the US, you have proven models like Vessel and Dispatch Goods. Those are excellent examples in the takeout space that was mentioned in the question. And then here in Canada, I noted Supply as a new entrant to the marketplace, along with Dream Zero and so forth. So I'm spending a lot of time now on reuse, and I direct people's attention there.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard of Supply as well, just being in Toronto. So I think that'll definitely be something really cool to see, hopefully get bigger and go more global.
Yes, yeah, early days. I mean, a long way to go, but to me, these are viable models, again, from both an environmental and an economic point of view. But as I said, the global we need to find them and try them and test them and give them feedback and so forth.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So the next question here was actually submitted from somebody in the audience. It is addressed for everybody, but we'll start off with Jodi, then go to Andrew, Amanda Galusha, then Hemlock. So the question is, I've noticed that a lot of CPGs are setting Scope 3 reduction targets. How do you plan to measure a packaging supplier's impact to their Scope 3 emissions?
Well, from the perspective of this certification organization, it'll certainly come out in how the printers actually engage with their vendors. I think that's part of the certification process, will be that, and then their clients. So I would think that would be coming all the way through the supply chain. And I think that action should be showing in the metrics themselves. I guess if I'm answering what they're asking specifically, that it should be seen from our certified printers from both sides. That makes sense. Yep.
No, absolutely. Andrew, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
I don't. Scope 3 emissions and greenhouse gas emissions is not something that PAC Next directly address it. That's something our members would address themselves. Certainly we pay close attention to, ongoing life cycle assessments and discuss that with various members. But there's not a whole lot more I can say on that right now.
No, that's great. Thank you very much. I'll open up the floor now, see if anybody else would like to add on, and if not, we will move on.
I think just, to add the importance of like efficiency in how you're shipping and receiving packaging, right? So making sure that your vendors are using efficient processes, and you can reduce your inbound and outbound shipping by being really, designing for your product, right? I think that's important. And I also think because scope three includes end of life on your packaging, obviously wanting to design for the most limited impact there. I know it's not a lot, Andrew said in his presentation as well, it's often that's not where the biggest impact is, but I think there's still kind of opportunity to focus on waste in that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree that there's still a lot more work to do, but we're definitely heading in the right direction.
So we had another really interesting question that was directed for Hemlock. So what are the client's reactions to seeing their carbon footprint quotes in your zero carbon neutral printing program?
Yes, so we really do emphasize, and I think Steph could maybe provide some real client examples, but really we see a very positive reaction. Part of the Zero program is that we provide a Zero certificate. So this actually shows the client, how many print projects or print orders they've made over the year, how much emissions they've mitigated, as well as converting that to how many cars are off the road for a year, a really clear visual statistic to show them that they're actually making a tangible impact. So we really do see this being something that clients are gravitating towards. Steph, do you have any examples of that, perhaps?
I would just say, for the most part, if a client inbound to us, or like a client that I'm working with and they come to us and say, we have a focus on sustainability, or if I'm working with existing clients and can see from their website or maybe their email signature that they do care about sustainability, that the Zero program and the carbon offsets is a fairly straightforward sell. It's usually not a huge part, maybe 5% or less of the value of the job. So it's not a lot to add on for the impact that it makes. I would say it is harder there still are lots of companies that aren't making sustainability a high priority, and it's harder to convince them to add that on, even when, to me, it's a very simple solution. And you say, you could make this sort of difference. I'm still surprised at the amount of people that do turn it down and just want the cheapest, most straightforward way of doing it. They don't want to use any of the environmental logos. It's a shame, but we'll just keep chipping away at it.
Yeah, I think people are definitely hopefully looking for the more eco-friendly route in doing things now.
We will drive it as consumers. That's the way that we'll drive that change. That's where the change is going to come from, because we have the power to. I like to think that we have the power to make some changes in it. I think it's coming. Not as fast as we'd all like.
Exactly.
And sometimes I think it's the contents of their product. I will just say, from my experience working for manufacturing company, that sometimes it's the products that are inside. I think the oil example was like, well, inside it's oil. So, but where can they directionally improve the product that they have, right? And so what people or consumers are going to do with it. So I think on the brand segment side, sometimes that's the thing. Well, the product I have is not very sustainable, or it's a chemical or something. So why should I care about what the label does? And why should I care? I'm not saying that's what they say, but I think that has impact as well.
Amazing. All right. Well, we've kind of gotten to the end of the panel. Maybe just one more quick little, maybe anybody can hit the last question here as we wrap up. So I think it's kind of just about the idea of sustainability, how it's often seen as excessively expensive. But could you encourage brands to switch their print or packaging to be more financially and environmentally sustainable? So I guess kind of the problem that a lot of people see about sustainability is the price part to it. If you guys have any kind of info or input on that.
Yeah, Andrew here. I can just make a couple of comments. There's tons we could say. So a couple of things. There's good recent research, McKinsey, Trivium Packaging out of the US that says consumers are willing to pay more for sustainable packaging. They're interested in it. They want to see it. The amount varies, but it's clear. These are large surveys, and so that's a fact. The question is then how to make that happen. And then the second thing, I'll just go back to the reuse models, because there are specific examples. I'm working with people now where the models work, the economic model works, whereby businesses that work with reuse models can actually save money. It can be a better value proposition than using single-use packaging. So those are two things I'd add to the conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think like on that point, it's oftentimes it's a bigger upfront investment, and especially if you're looking to, redesign or change your packaging formats, that can be daunting and feel like it could be very expensive. But if you're smart about it, you can achieve paybacks in the long run. So I think it's about really doing those assessments to determine what the long run impact is, not just on the cost of your materials or your packaging, but also on the value for your customers and your business. Because I think it's definitely the way we're going, and consumers are incredibly savvy. Jodi's right, we do have the power. So I think it's, you just kind of have to bite the bullet and make those changes.
I think some of the drivers that will help are some of the costs of all the packaging materials as well, right? And the shipping, the transportation, all of those things combined, the influx from COVID of the increase. And so all the demand for packaging will also help, I think, in terms of, going more local, more regional, and reducing, hopefully.
Awesome. That was a great conversation. Thank you guys so much. We really, really appreciate you guys all taking your time to come here and be on our panel. So yeah, thank you guys. We're gonna have.
Thank you all so much. And also, I noticed Ali had mentioned in the chat as well. So if any questions were not answered today, they will be either emailed or posted on our website. So keep an eye out for that.
And we're now gonna have Hannah and Katie come on in and wrap day 2 up.